Hello. Today I'd like to do an update on something new, or several things new that I ended up doing with my tank. Uh, Rather interesting story. I ended up going down to my local fish store and they asked me what I was doing on Black Friday, and I told them why. Are we doing something here? And he said, yeah, it's 50% off all livestock and corals. So needless to say, on Friday I went down to my local fish store and took a look at a few things. I went down there with the intention of trying to pick up something like maybe a lawnmower blenny or whatever, but I went through and took a look at the fish, and there wasn't really anything there that just appealed to me personally. However, my wife suggested that we take a look at corals, and I haven't added any corals to this tank in over a year, just because I've had some rotten luck with some zoanthids and some other things there. These, of course, are the two old-fashioned stalwarts that I've had in my tank for a long time and have done very well. My frog spawn and hammer coral. However, I ended up picking up several frags to add to the tank, and I'll go ahead and kind of cover them now. The first one here I'll cover is this purple torch coral. It's a nice little coral there and will branch out over time. As you can tell, I am very partial to the Euphyllia corals just because that seems to be what I do well with, as evidenced by my frog spawn and hammer corals. So anyways, it's just a nice purple torch frag that's there. I think I ended up getting it for like 20 bucks, which is dirt cheap. So it was a great deal, good little coral. So that'll continue to grow out. I also got over here on this side, this guy, I'm not 100% sure what he is. Unfortunately, this one has not done nearly as well. It's just a little tentacled LPS coral of some kind. I think it might be a grape coral of some kind, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to look into that a bit more. Anyways, it has not done as well as some of the others, but it's just still too early to tell. We'll keep working on it and doing a few things, adjusting flow and stuff like that, and thus far seems to be doing not as well as the others, but still there, so I'll keep working on that. Probably the most interesting addition is this guy, the green hammer coral. Stunning in all respects. It's definitely my most eye-catching coral at this point in terms of, looking at the tank from a distance. It's hard to miss. It's growing, it's not growing, but glowing neon green that it has. As you can see here, once again, it's just a small little frag at this point, but it's doing very well. My Coral Beauty has taken a little more interest in it than I like, but fortunately it's limited. It's nibbling to the harder outside and does not seem to care at all for the polyps. I think it accidentally brushed up against them once and it freaked the fish out. So thankfully, he only seems to be interested in cleaning the bottom portions of the coral, which don't seem to be hurting at all because it actually appears to have even grown a little bit since I've gotten it, even more so than it was at the fish store that I picked it up at on Friday. This is kind of an interesting one. It may not look like a whole lot here, but if you look on that little post there, you can see a single solitary little tiny zoanthid. The story with that one's rather amusing. I told the owner I had no interest in zoanthids just because I've had such rotten luck with them in the past. None of them have survived. So he told me, he said, you know what? He says, I really want you to have a zoanthid because it's so cool. As I understand it, Live Aquaria calls this the Darth Maul variety zoanthid for whatever reason. It's kind of an orangish red. Hard to see from this angle and because it's so small, but it actually has grown. It's opened up a bit. Thus far, this thing is probably about the best luck I've had with the zoanthid, but it's still early days on it, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, so he gave me this coral for free, so, you know, turning down a free coral is like turning down a free ribeye steak. You just don't do it, unless, of course, you're vegetarian or vegan. But anyway, so nice little coral there, as kind of like a bonus that I got from my fish store for making some purchases. So I'll be curious to see how that develops. And as you can see here, my fish are definitely eager to get into the act and remind me that it is close to dinner time. So anyways, but these are just some of the new additions I've had to my tank. Stuff that I think over time will add definitely some more life and color to it, and just kind of give it something it's been lacking for a while, because it's just been bare rock for the most part, other than, of course, the two long established corals. So anyway, those are my new additions at this point, and I will definitely be sticking with Euphyllia corals, just partially for the coral beauty, because it tends to not like them quite as much as some of the others. But I will give this zoanthid a shot, since it's free, and just see what happens with the tank. And that's where I'm at this point, and thanks for watching.